Hiya, I'm just going to do a quick show and tell on Mentimeter for you. So I started using Mentimeter last academic year before we went into the sort of the lockdown and the online learning. I had started using this within the functional skills English classroom as a way to sort of engage some of my more reluctant learners. Um, Sometimes learners were feeling a bit shy, they didn't really want to share their ideas, they didn't want to sort of you know feel embarrassed in front of their peers. And this was suggested as a tool that I could use to sort of gather feedback, gather answers, gather ideas from those learners in an anonymous way, but in a way where I could gauge how many people were interacting and kind of sort of work out from the number of students in the room how many were engaging and who wasn't sort of participating. So I started using this a little while ago, but it has been a bit of a godsend in terms of the online learning as well. I quite often use this for plenary activities where I want to get the students engaging and reflecting on perhaps a concept or a question, and it's a quick fire way of getting their answers. There are different sorts of questions that you can pose to your students, and a lot of them enjoy it because it is an interactive way of using their technology as well. So the basis of Mentimeter is that the teacher will be using sort of the presentation end of Mentimeter. So you would log into and create an account on the Mentimeter end, and then with a code, the students can then log in from their devices and share their ideas and answers, and these will appear at the teacher end of Mentimeter. So I'm going to sort of show you that in a moment. To sort of create a presentation, you would literally click New Presentation. We'll call it Plenary Task, for instance, and click Create. There are different kinds of questions that you can involve. It is limited on the free version as to how many slides or how many questions you can create with one sort of presentation, if you like. So for instance, we could have a multiple choice question, sort of a bit like a poll. We could create a word cloud, so you could get learners to sort of input 1, 2, or 3 kind of words to sum something up. I quite often use this one here, the open-ended question. So it gives them a chance to sort of summarize their feelings, their thoughts, maybe to define a concept or to sort of, pick out something key. And again, it's a bit more flexible, so it gives them a bit more sort of option there. There's all sorts there that you could do. If you did want to go really fancy, you could have sort of content slides and things like a proper PowerPoint presentation. But for the purposes of what we're going to do, I'm going to pick an open-ended question. So, name, I don't know, 2 language techniques. This is something that, not that I can type today, 2 language techniques. So this is something that we have been focusing on recently in functional skills English. You can include images if you really, really want to. I don't tend to. I tend to stick with those in the PowerPoint. So once I'm happy with my question, I can click present. And it is as straightforward as that. And what you'll see happening at the top of the screen, so this is the teacher end. You'll see this instruction to go to www.menti.com. That is slightly different. So that is the input end for the students. And on whatever device they are, that they need to go to that address, and then they're going to use this code a little bit like Kahoot, really, where they have to input a code. And let's just escape from there for a moment, and I can show you. So this is what the students will see when they go to menti.com. They would need to enter their code. Let's go with rule of 3 and rhetorical. Not that I can spell today. Rhetorical questions. So 2 different language techniques. Submit their answers. They could have done more, and that's it their end. If we go back to the teacher end, you can see that that has now appeared on the screen. So it's a really good way of gauging their thoughts, their ideas, or quick short answers. Perhaps you could use it as a starter activity to sort of see what they know about a topic to begin with before you start exploring it in the lesson. And then you can sort of return to it at the plenary. There's all sorts of ways that you could apply this. In fact, if I show you an example of mine, so one of the first times I used Mentimeter was, in fact, on a lesson to do with Remembrance Day. And it was gauging their thoughts and feelings about whether we should sort of continue to commemorate Remembrance Day. So at the start of the session, if I show you, at the start of the session, I began, this was my starter, and I got the students to sort of reflect and think about their initial feelings about whether we should or should not, continue to celebrate and commemorate Remembrance Day. In this particular group, they were all in agreement, but you can then move on. Towards the end of the session, I then asked them to re-input and to sort of say, how they felt. Had they changed their minds? Did they still feel the same? So you can see there's a wider sort of array of options there in the poll. And rather than just sort of a yes, no kind of answer, my last little bit of my plenary was to get them to share why. So give me your view. Why do you feel that way? Why is it important? So that they could sort of get their opinions out there, but in an anonymous way. So they didn't feel like they had to be put on the spot and say it out loud in front of everyone. So that was just a very sort of rock and roll ride through Mentimeter. Have a play around with it. It's very easy to use. It's very user friendly. But if you've got any questions, please shout. Thank you very much.